Hello, and welcome to the webinar, Protect Your Promotions and Attract Valuable Lifelong Customers with Identity Marketing. I'm Megan, and I'm so excited for the presentation you're going to see today because we're diving into an urgent problem for marketers today. We're talking about that pressure to provide the most compelling product or service offer to potential customers without the ability to protect that offer from being redeemed by the wrong target audience. Before we get too wrapped up in our conversation today, I have a few quick housekeeping notes to share. At the bottom of your screen are multiple application widgets you can use. All the widgets are resizable and movable, so feel free to move them around to get the most out of your desktop space. Please note the slides will advance automatically throughout the presentation. To enlarge the slides, click the Enlarge Slides button located in the top right-hand corner of your presentation window. So as I was saying, this is such a timely topic for enterprise marketers today because customers increasingly expect personalized and relevant offers for products and services. But from the perspective of an enterprise marketing team, it feels like a swarm of customers will descend upon whatever you put out there. So the temptation to water down a promotional offer to protect your bottom line can be very strong. But watering down your offer defeats the whole point of putting an offer together because you have to put your best foot forward if you want to entice today's customer to try your product or service for the first time or switch from a competitor. Today, we're going to talk with two marketing experts about how identity marketing solves this problem. And by the end, you'll see that you don't have to compromise on your offers or your results to put together profitable customer acquisition campaigns. Let me introduce you to Sai Coppola, Chief Marketing Officer at ShareID, and Cherie Davies, Senior Director of Customer Acquisition at Comcast. Cherie, Sai, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to share some great examples and concepts about creating profitable offers that I think are really going to inspire you to think of all the possibilities for your own brand. But first, let's define what we're talking about. Identity marketing is an approach that allows you to verify which customers are eligible to activate personalized offers. So if you create a promotion for first responders, only first responders can redeem it, and so on. You can customize offers for all kinds of audiences, from active and retired military personnel, teachers, or students. And that's just what Comcast did in the example we'll share today. They worked with ShareID to create a very successful customized offer for college students, and it worked perfectly. With ShareID, there are a few more benefits baked into the identity marketing platform, from offer optimization, which supports A/B testing, to reporting and analytics to assess the effectiveness of each campaign. But let's bring our experts front and center. Cherie, Sai, we'd love to hear your take on identity marketing. What stands out about how enterprise companies are using identity marketing to create more effective offers? Cherie, in particular, can you give us a brief overview of the results you saw from your program?
Yes, certainly, Megan. Thank you. Firstly, let me start off by saying we have seen unprecedented results in this overall campaign that we've been running, especially in such uncertain times and given our target market being students, with all the noise that's going on in the marketplace. So net, we're especially happy with the overall performance. Comcast has never seen and never embarked on any type of verification of gated offers in the past. This is all new to us, and working with ShareID has enabled us to move away from very broad stroke marketing approaches, which I think many of you are very familiar with. We couldn't make our offers very rich or targeted because we didn't really know who in fact we were speaking to. This was holding us back from being able to grow with that segment and really understand that this is our future pipeline. So not only how we innovate our products and how we go to market, but also the content that we serve up as well, being especially important in our industry. ShareID has delivered on all their promises and essentially allowed us to develop gated offers to segmented audience that really deliver. We know with 100% guarantee that we are speaking to a student. We're growing identity marketing like never before because we're able to make very competitive gated offers, which we weren't able to do before with those traditional broad stroke marketing tactics. We didn't know who we were speaking to, and it was not economical on the revenue side of things to make a decision that would go too deep and too broad within certain target markets. But now we can because we know the audience we're speaking to, and we have absolutely guaranteed that we are able to gate our offers and serve them up to the audience that we're aiming to have a conversation with.
And adding on to what Sherry mentioned, the reason we're seeing identity marketing campaigns work across innovative brands like Comcast is, one, there's an inherent word of mouth within that community because these offers are targeted for specific consumer tribes, whether it is teachers or students. Those members, it's a closed-knit community, for example, a university, and there's automatic word of mouth built into it. So when somebody in that community who strongly identifies being a student of a particular university, right, when they see an offer that's compelling, they instantly share it within that community. And the second part of it is, I think Sherry briefly mentioned it, it gives the marketer the flexibility now to create a really compelling offer, but targeted only for one specific audience because the offer is protected, right? So it ensures that there's no leakage. And last but not the least, something to keep in mind is the way we ensure this offer goes to only one particular audience, for example, students, is there's actually a verification, validation of their status that happens in this process. And the beauty of this is we are actually asking the consumer to, give us some information. For example, particularly first name, last name, date of birth in school, to verify that they are a student. So this is actually first-party data the consumer is willingly giving in exchange for a valuable offer. The combination of these three things is why we are seeing this new wave of personalization, what we call identity marketing, really taking off.
That's a great point, Sai, and I think what we're seeing already is these students, for this audience, they're expecting to share a level of information in order to get a deal or a compelling offer that makes sense for them. So we've seen significant jump off with the offers because we were able to level up on that appeal and bring in some partners, which we'll speak to, but in fact, having them share that information up front in order to assist the verification and unlock those offers definitely did not deter any of the students from being able to engage with us.
That really clarifies things. Thank you. We mentioned consumers today increasingly expect personalized and relevant offers, but that's just one piece of the puzzle of successful marketing today. There are a few more layers we want to pull back to understand the context of Comcast's successful identity marketing campaign. First, companies are getting more and more savvy about creating and distributing offers today. The marketplace is buzzing with noise, making it difficult to stand out. Second, it's much harder to acquire a customer once they've reached adulthood, about 3 times harder, in fact. The longer you wait to approach the student age, Gen Z audience, the harder it will be to capture their attention and encourage them to use your product. And finally, if you want to pursue that up-and-coming generation and cement yourself as a cornerstone brand for younger demographics, personalized and gated offers are a must. Research from Kelton Research shared the following statistics that really show the value Gen Z gets from these kinds of offers. More than half of Gen Z said gated offers make them feel excited. 91% are more likely to shop with a brand that offers student discounts. 83% would share a gated offer with friends and family. And that's just what Cherie's team at Comcast was up against when they started to brainstorm their college campaign packages. But let's let Cherie tell it. Cherie, could you speak to your thought process behind targeting the student audience for your promotions?
Yeah, thanks, Megan. So it's not that Gen Zs aren't buying, it's that we're buying from somewhere else. And what we were seeing year over year is that the opportunity and the growth opportunity with the students was growing. However, we were not trending in line with that growth. And that growth funnel was not making a solid difference for us as a business. In fact, it was declining for us. We had to have a hard look at ourselves and really realize why they would buy from someone else and not us. Our products are superior, our content is outstanding, but really we were not seeing that growth. As it turns out, 18 to 24-year-olds have some pretty strict guidelines in what they expect from brands. And there's a lot more to their buying behaviors than what maybe we first thought. These consumers are very open to it as well. Certainly segments actually seek out methods to get a discount. Students are among those deal hunters that we like to call them. They expect a coupon or deal sharing and are happy to share a little bit of information in order to get that special offer or discount. Community outreach really helped us to inform our approach and to grow into this segment, recognizing it as an important future pipeline. It's 3 times harder to acquire an 18 to 24-year-old once they're outside of that cycle. And can you imagine 3 times harder to get an 18 to 24-year-old once they're in adulthood, as we call it. So it really makes good financial sense and overall business sense to acquire them, especially during the 18 to 24, if not sooner, if it makes sense. So if I'm going to invest $1 now and go on and get the student segment, I may need 3 times that amount to invest post-graduation or post-college, and that trajectory increases and becomes more and more of a distant truth as they get further into having families, young families, and moving on through that life cycle. Right now, students know that there are deals out there. They know they're out there left, right, and center. Everyone's got a deal. This is not unusual. It's not new to the market. So we needed to tether our deal to other things out there that are important to them, such as gaming and music. We invested significant resources into understanding our audience very well, and gaming and music really are on the upper end of the totem pole with things that drive appeal and drive incentive to purchase for students. Combining the appeal of well-respected brands and other power brands such as Xfinity and Comcast, we're able to partner with the students at all stages of their life and really give them excitement for now and in the future.
That's a good point, Sherry. One of the things Comcast done a phenomenal job is, it's not just about giving a discount. It's creating the right bundle, and you guys have added a couple of interesting bundles that are very attractive to students. Especially in today's context, right? Today, while we're going through this pandemic, we are seeing e-commerce is booming. Quite a bit of money offline has come online. We are also, seeing, many of the college students are remote. It's no longer not as typical back to school where you can do a lot of on-campus activities. So given the context of online, the knee-jerk reaction would be to, hey, just give a discount. There are a lot of bargain hunters there. The question is, how do you create that emotional connection and have a longer-term customer? And that's where creating the right offer, which includes beyond the discount, the right packaging, sometimes an exclusive offer or exclusive package, makes a big difference in gaining these customers for the long term.
That's so interesting to get to see your thought process behind these decisions, Cherie. And Sai, thank you for adding that as well. It's valuable to be able to break down a successful approach into pieces in hopes that some of our viewers could emulate it for their own offers. So let's really break down that effective approach to identity marketing. Studying Comcast's approach, 3 important steps become clear. First, partnerships. Brands need to put the right partnerships in place to appeal to their target audience. These partnerships should be highly customized and relevant to your target audience. Next, strategy. Brands need to define their strategy and how they'll reach that audience. Where does this unique segment spend time? What's necessary to them? And finally, connection. Brands need to connect with their audiences to find out what will make for a compelling offer. Understanding what appeals to your audience, what interests and passions and challenges they have. All of these things will help you create an offer that really resonates with them. Cherie, Sai, we'd love to hear more of the behind-the-scenes details. Can you break down for us how you worked through these priorities to arrive at your offer?
It really boils down to the first step, at least on my side of things, was to know your business. Know what you can offer your customer, know what your customer wants, and really assess the audience and where you need to plus up in certain areas. And, there are very few brands that have everything. I can't think of one off the top of my head at least. But I at least understood with Xfinity and the offers that we were going for is that music and gaming comes back to knowing your audience. Music and gaming are top of mind and very, very important to this audience. Yes, it really boils down to really knowing your business and understanding your audience. We understood our business. We are wonderful in the content creation end of things, and music was one of those areas that we understand that puffs up for students, as with gaming. There are partners out there that could help us really bridge that gap and that opportunity to really overdrive the market, especially when it came to students. And partnering with Amazon Music Unlimited was key and paramount for us to be able to ensure that that area around music was taken care of, and that we were continuing to be able to drive that level of appeal, and that, as Sai said, that compelling bundle as well. So they were a very important partner for us.
So, broadening that, one of the things we've seen working with, variety of brands is it all starts from the brand's mission and strategy, and then the audience, right? So, we get this question all the time, hey, what consumer tribe should we go after? And our answer is, it depends. What is your brand mission and strategy? Because at the end of the day, it's not just a one offer. It has to come across as authentic. If it doesn't come across as authentic, people, we all get bombarded with 5,000 plus messages a day. Yeah, unless it comes to authentic and it connects with me emotionally, I'm not going to react to that offer, right? So that's one piece of it. The second piece of it is it has to be meaningful. That means it has to be compelling. That's what Sherry is talking about. The package is compelling to the audience. And last but not the least, for it to be effective, it aligns with the audience. In this case, Comcast was, focusing on the Gen Z audience. Now, if you are a brand and, for example, your core audience, for example, let's say it's women in 30s and 40s, then maybe the consumer types that are relevant for you would be teachers and nurses and military spouses, right? So you got to think that way in terms of what is my brand strategy, what am I doing from a mission perspective, and how does it align, what is my audience, and this particular effort needs to align with those. Then it becomes much more compelling and impactful.
Thanks, Sai. Yeah, I want to also mention, while you were mentioning about the audience and how we connect with them, social media and college campus advertising played a huge role for us. We have student ambassadors that are out there to engage on all levels of social media, but we also have a number of college campuses that are able to promote and message the offers as well, really to ensure that their students remain connected, whether they're on campus or off campus, and it didn't interrupt their ability to study as well. The internet offer with the free Amazon Music Unlimited comes with a $150 Visa prepaid card. I mean, it really is going to that point that Sai is doubling down on creating that compelling bundle approach. So having a bundle approach that has internet and gives access to Amazon Music Unlimited with a $150 prepaid card was really something that was born from COVID-19. We had plans in place that were built in months, maybe even nearly a year pre-COVID, and we had to pivot in less than 10 days to make sure that we remained keeping these students connected, and that we did it in a way that was respectful to the economy, but then also the school and the studying need that they had. Being able to rebuild a go-to-market and how we position these offers was key and critical. We needed to be agile and do it very, very quickly. And having the background of the verification platform by our side enabled that to make it very quick in us being able to pivot as well. Adopting our identity marketing has been a crawl, walk, run, so please don't hear this and say, oh, look, they did it in 10 days. We certainly didn't. We wanted to make sure that we didn't break anything at first. We've been moving in this in a very thoughtful and intentional way, and that crawl, walk, run really did take a couple of years for us to get aligned to make sure, again, that we didn't break anything, and that we also had offers that made sense and were available online for these 18 to 24-year-olds, who we know are very digitally savvy, probably more than me or anyone, at least in my age group. And we're able to monitor the sales and really learn. And learning was very important, that we're able to learn and learn quickly. So we could change out the offers, make sure that we were there for them at the right time. And then also we're able to extend through other channels once we had learned and really monitored what works and what works even better for this particular segment.
So I've been fortunate to work with innovative marketers like Sherry across a variety of brands. And when someone says, hey, how come some brands are more successful than others? Actually, it's more than the brand. It comes from the individual marketer, right? Who's the one who's going to be innovative in the sense, like what Sherry said, who's going to say, let's test and iterate on it, right? So what we found successful brands do is, get a campaign up and running, just a single campaign. It could literally be a 1-week campaign with no technology investments from within the company needed. Just get it running to see if it works for you, how well it works for you. What we have seen is, if it's done well, significant improvement in conversion rates, 2x or above. And also we've seen the level of engagement can be 3 times. So that's what the whole crawl, walk, run is, just start a campaign and you will see the results for yourself. Then you can build on top of it and eventually actually integrate into your loyalty program and other things.
It's fascinating to see these steps in action, and they seem so accessible. It really breaks down a complex process into what seems like perfectly doable steps, over time, of course. So let's help our viewers break this down even further. The approach that you would take today, Sherry and Sai, we've broken that down into 3 more concepts enterprise organizations will want to consider as they walk through this process. And Sherry, you've already mentioned the first one, crawl, walk, run. And then also 2, measure everything. And 3, use a trusted partner. Sherry, Sai, what do you mean by that?
Crawl, walk, run. It has taken us 3 years or more in the making to get to just this very point, and I can't say how proud I am to be at this place. Not only are we available with these offers online, but we have them in an omni-channel scale as well, and that is no small feat, especially for a company the size of Comcast. But to have a partner that is up to the standards, such as ShareID, is just phenomenal, and it really puts all of us at rest to know that we're in this for the long run, and this is certainly something that we're going to stick with and only keep getting better as the years move on as well. I think measuring everything is synonymous with Comcast. We measure everything. We track everything. We report everything. So yes, we'll track and report on-site visitations, whether they be unique or in general, as well as verifications. And what does that verification look like as well? Who is it coming from? Where is it coming from? That trusted partner, you want a turnkey partner, and ShareID has got it all. There was certainly a high level of due diligence done before we decided to go with ShareID. We certainly put them through the ringer, and they have been nothing but true professionals. They have stood up to every task. They are really on board with us 24/7 and have owned every element that has been needed and really exceeded our expectations in terms of being that partner. And I have to say they're a large key to our success as well. It would be one thing to have a campaign and a verification campaign to this nature, but without the platform to support it and to give us the full backing to know that there is no revenue loss and we are reaching the right audience and the platform is stable every single day, every single moment, is certainly something that makes this an end-to-end very, very strong partnership.
Thank you, Sherry, for the kind words. My guidance to marketers out there is, when you're embarking on a campaign like this, consider a couple of things, right? We all have limited dev resources, so figure out a vendor that can help you get this running up fast, right? A solution that you can go live with within a couple of days or less, right? Not just go live, but also then monitor and optimize, analyze the data and optimize it. That's one, right? The second thing to consider also is it whatever the solution to go with, right? Does it have support for a variety of consumer types? For example, like in the case of Sherry, they started with students and then they added other segments. So similarly, we have a lot of brands who start with, for example, military and then say, okay, this works really well. Hey, let's add first responders. So think through whatever platform you choose, does it support multiple consumer types and also geos? We have a lot of customers start in the US, then go to Canada, and then go across the pond. The third piece to think about is you want to own this customer data and the customer experience. You, as a company, have invested so much in your brand, and you have attracted this customer, consumer, prospective customer to your website or to your app. You don't want to lose them. You want to reduce abandonment rate. So when you have this whole experience in your brand experience, and this consumer stays on your site through the entire process, including the validation process, you will see much higher conversion rate because the drop-offs tend to be really low. And also the value of owning the data is you can now integrate it into your CRM system. So that way, even if they don't become a customer today, you now have tagged this prospect in your CRM as a student. So then you can market to them again, and hopefully they'll be a customer the next time around. And last but not the least, find a partner that has a community of brands who you can leverage. Identity marketing is a new form of personalization. So brands are constantly iterating and discovering best practices on how to optimize their offers, how to get the word of the offers out there. And so it'll be join a partner community or a community of brands that you can leverage on. So I would say, end of the day, find a solution that can take you fast to market, has the broadest set of consumer tribes, ensures you own the data and consumer experience, and finally, you take advantage of the wisdom of the other brands.
This is really inspiring. You make it sound so easy, but of course it's not. It's just that technology can make this very complex and wide-scale process seem easy. This has been such a thorough look at your success with Comcast, Cherie. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. And same to you, Sai. But I see we have some time left that we set aside for the Q&A because there are a few threads throughout our conversation that would be valuable to follow up on. So we'll dive right in. The first question: what other kinds of marketing did you use to target a specific audience? What were some of the limitations of those kinds of marketing?
Yeah, there are a number of different tactics that we use programmatically mostly. So media is certainly a big part of it, but media and showing up in the right aspects and the right elements and the right platforms is huge and key. So we were able to tackle that with a little bit of testing and then figured out where we need to show up. And really what it boils down to is being able to be in the right place for students where they live, where they work, if they do, and where they study in this context as well. So being in those right arenas at the right time and the right place, leaning into seasonality was key. And that was around the media subset, which really covers digital, online video, online audio, and social. But in an extension of that, we also have quite a large team of student ambassadors. And these are real life students who are out there, who are trained up at our product, understand the offers that are out there, and they're really out there endorsing them and going back to what Sai was mentioning about word of mouth. These are our students that are out there endorsing the Xfinity student exclusive offer and all that comes with it, and they do that through their own social media platforms as well. They also do it largely through their school communication activities, and then we also have the schools that partner with us and understand that this is really such a great offer for the students, and it really plays into ensuring that they stay connected during their study moment. So they also promote it as well through those partnerships. We also do partner with our retail outlets as well, and in certain areas where we see denser areas of students and denser populations, we'll have point of sale that support the offers as well.
Yeah, so one of the things there, adding on to what Cherie talked about, one of the things to consider is, in many cases, these audiences are not in one place, right? They are where your customers are. So what we have seen work best is, in terms of getting the offer out, you would use all the channels you are currently using. But if the offer is really compelling and it attracts your audience, what we found is, just organic search and social contribute quite a bit of that. So the key is to ensure the offer and the packaging is correct. And then you can use all the channels you're using today. Because there's word of mouth, what we're seeing is because it gets referred by one buyer to others in the community, your average acquisition cost goes down quite a bit.
I couldn't agree with you more, Sai. In fact, because of that awareness building and that word of mouth that we've generated through some of those tactics that I referred to, our organic search is really the main driver of a lot of the volume that we see coming in, at least through the .com and through the call centers as well. So you're absolutely right. Paid search, organic search, it's key and critical to this, and then making sure you have the keywords that really dial up the level of audience appeal that you're after as well.
Great, thank you both. Our next question, how did you choose between a seasonal offer and an evergreen one? What did you ultimately decide?
That's a really good question, and took a long time to come around to that. Again, comes back to Comcast's ability to measure everything. So before we had the platform and the verification platform and the gated offers in play, we really did just have seasonal offers. We had what we'd call our Fall Rush campaign. It would run, let's call it early August through to late September. And it was one and done. It was a very vanilla offer, and it would be out there in the marketplace just for that moment. For what we believed at that point in time was when seasonality for students was at its highest. They were, enrolling in classes and getting ready for the new school year. With our first round, after engaging ShareID, we did do some testing, just very a soft launch for the online side of things with these exclusive offers, and we turned those offers on. We did not promote them. They were not supported by any campaigning. They were only out there online, and what we learned after having them up and available for 6 months was that seasonality approach was a myth, and it was one that we've been following for quite some years, and many of us would not have put too much thought into that. But what we saw is when we turned on those offers come July of that particular year, and we ran them for a full 6 months, so they ran into the following calendar year, we saw some significant spikes in our sales. Sure enough, seasonality for August, September played true, very, very high results. But we also saw some very interesting results come up in the months of November and December, January as well. We didn't see any drop-off in between those months. So after post-Fall Rush, it didn't drop off. There was still a fair amount of volume coming through. And then we saw spikes in parity to a Fall Rush season in November, December, and January. So after that learning, we realized that just being in marketplace for, let's call it 8 weeks, was not doing us a great service, and an always-on campaign was certainly the way to be. Certainly doesn't mean it's always Fall Rush, and that seasonality doesn't play through. It does, but I think there is a whole lot of opportunity to acquire customers outside of those windows as well, just at different levels.
Yeah, completely agree with Sherry here. What we've seen many brands do is they'll start with one campaign. For students, it could be back to school, it could be spring break. For teachers, it could be Teacher Appreciation Week or back to school. Depending on the consumer tribe, they'll pick one time of the year to run a campaign. Which is like for military, it could be Veterans Day. They'll pick one event, a week-long campaign, see the results, and then they tend to go, all year round. At the same time, we're seeing companies not only have an all-year-round, all-season evergreen offer, but also for special occasions, they have an elevated offer. So it depends on the brand strategy, but that's how we've seen brands be successful. Start with the campaign first, and then you will see the results for yourself.
Perfect. Thank you both. Our next question, what special considerations should we take into account for omni-channel environments?
I think the special considerations that we took into account was the audience. We were going after an audience that was college-based, 18 to 24 students, mostly digitally enabled, and you usually like to do business online as well. So that was one of the reasons why we did launch that channel first, but we phased out our channel engagement and channel rollout. We also understood that as much as this audience likes to do business online, they also like to verify, literally verify the offers and get the details through an actual person. Now, whether that means going into a store or calling up to get the details, that's really important for this audience, and doesn't mean that they'll make the sale in the store or through the call center agent. They usually go back online to complete the sale, but they do a little bit of research through those peer-to-peer outlets as well. So in order for us to create a really end-to-end go-to-market strategy and to really harness this audience, we needed to make sure that we stacked up in all areas. Since we've just launched online and now we have the omni-channel approach, we're seeing a lot more momentum in terms of the volume, because we are enabling that conversation with the students through our agents or whether they be in stores, and then they can engage with us online if they wish to complete the order and the subscription, or they can do it in store as well, which does happen in some cases. But really important that we're able to pull all levers and have every channel enabled to be able to serve this audience. And I dare say maybe the approach would have been different if it had been maybe for teachers or military or a different sub-segment.
What's interesting in this pandemic is, the brands that have a seamless omni-channel experience are doing really well. We're all forced to do buy online, pick up store. What we're seeing is some of the brands, for example, will have an offer for students or military only in store and not online. So that's really bad UX, and they know that. So what we're seeing increasingly is brands are seeing how can we have a unified experience across all my channels, especially when I have an exclusive offers to specific audiences. So what we're increasingly seeing is through this mechanism, you want to make sure that your consumer, doesn't matter which channel they're going through, they can take advantage of this offer.
Perfect. Our final question of the day, how did you get your executive leadership team on board with identity marketing?
Tenacity. It really was. It was tenacity. This is all brand new for Comcast. I think I said that at the beginning of this interview. So it was really getting key leadership to understand the platform technology and the intelligent marketing that we could go about it. This is a major shift for anything that we had done in the past. So it really was about sheer tenacity and having continuous and constant conversations with those key stakeholders, but also being able to understand how to navigate through our organization. It is a matrix organization, so it makes it a little bit more complicated, not impossible, but a little bit more complicated to know who those key decision makers are, and really having a solid plan as to who you need to engage with and who you need buy-in from in order to get to the next step. And it was a few layers and a few different, many stakeholders with a few layers to cut through. But once each of the leaders that I spoke to, once they understood the value proposition that ShareID came with, and once they understood the marketplace and the research of the audience that we were targeting and the behaviors in the consumer insight, so we backed it up with data, analytics, and research, and then really forced that conversation down in terms of how the platform would operate. It became a no-brainer, but it did take a lot of time to get each of those key leaders on board. But like I said, once they understood what it was about, because it was very foreign, it absolutely became a very easy conversation, and that's why we're here today.
Adding to what Sherry said, when I look at across all the brands we work with, it comes down to that champion like Sherry, right? It's not just about being a great marketer, but like she saw in tenacity, I can call it growth mindset. Somebody who's willing to say, hey, this is a new approach. How can we quickly test it out if it works for us or not? That tenacity, that growth mindset, that experiment or data-driven approach is what we've seen some of the innovative marketers like Sherry bring to bear within the large organization to move. The biggest challenge really is status quo. It's very easy for all of us to keep doing what we're doing. People like Sherry have been able to not only bring to bear the vast marketing knowledge, but also the willingness to try something new and prove it out if it works or not, is what leads to success and step change in acquisition metrics.
Great, thank you. Well, that is all the time we have today. Thank you everyone for posing great questions and for coming to the webinar presentation. And a big thanks to our speakers, Cherie Davies and Sai Coppola, for the great discussion. Have a great day, everyone.